Historical epics are like your standard historical movie but on steroids, as they are often huge projects with astronomical budgets, large ensemble casts, and usually depict massive armies and an epic battle or two. We are all familiar with classic historical epics like 300, Braveheart, or Kingdom of Heaven, but in this video I wanted to bring the spotlight to the lesser known historical epics who got lost in the sands of times to its bigger and more famous counterparts. So in this video I will be giving you my recommendations of 10 historical epics that you probably haven't seen yet. And for those of you keeping track, yes, this is week 4 of my cold and flu illness, which seems like it will never end at this point. But before we begin, don't forget, if you love anything to do with historical movies or historical TV shows, then subscribe to my channel, History Spark. The 10th spot on this list goes to Ran, the last epic samurai film created by the legendary director Akira Kurosawa. And it tells the story of an elderly samurai warlord who has gathered considerable wealth and land over the years, and realizing his end is beginning to come closer and closer, and to prevent any potential bloodshed between his 3 sons, he decides to give them a third of his kingdom each. But this plan fails spectacularly, as power and greed corrupts each of his sons, causing a civil war in which bloodshed, turmoil, and fear are commonplace. Ran has amazing acting by the entire cast, an amazing story, and some epic large-scale battles as well, and it really highlights why Kurosawa films are held in such high regard even to this day. This is a film that does have a lot of talking, and the action scenes are not as regular as one would expect. But if you stick with this film, you will definitely find a historical epic adventure here that you will truly enjoy. At number 9, it is Silence, a passion project directed and produced by Martin Scorsese. This film is set in 17th century Japan, and it is a very difficult and turbulent time to be a Christian within the nation, as there is little to no tolerance of the religion allowed within Japan. This is the backdrop in which 2 Jesuit priests, Sebastião Rodrigues and Francisco Garepe, find themselves in, as they are tasked with continuing to spread Christianity and also to get an update on how their mentor, Cristóvão Ferreira, is faring, as they have not heard from him in a long time. This film stars a top tier cast including Liam Neeson, Andrew Garfield, and Adam Driver. And as one would expect with such a talented cast, the acting here is brilliant, with Andrew Garfield being the standout performance for me, and the cinematography, set pieces, and production design is great as well. However though, I do have to emphasize that Silence is a very slow paced movie, and it might not be the right fit for all viewers. But it is still an epic historical adventure which has a grand story to tell, and even if it does so at a snail's pace, I think some viewers of this channel will really enjoy watching Silence. At number 8, it is Furious, a Russian epic period film which covered the siege of Ryazan by the Mongols in 1237. And the plot is based off of the tale of the destruction of Ryazan, which tells about the actions of Russian knight Patek Lavret, who led the heavily outnumbered Russian forces against the Mongol hordes of Batu Khan. This was the first Russian-based historical movie I had ever seen, and I really enjoyed it, as the plot was simple and easy to follow, if a little bit unoriginal, and the main character was fairly well developed and believable. Also, the movie did a great job of bringing the power of the Mongols to the screen in a really fantastic and engaging manner. Furious is a bit lacking in terms of cinematography and set pieces, but overall, for a B-grade Russian film, I really enjoyed Furious, and I think most viewers of this channel will do so as well. At number 7, it is The Fall of the Roman Empire, the classic 1964 sword and sandal film, which looked at the corruption and politics present within the Roman Empire during the reign of Commodus, and how these events started the decline of the Roman Empire and the downfall of all its glory. This film highlights what makes the classic era of historical movies so endearing even to this day, as the movie relies solely on amazing acting by the entire cast and a strong plot to carry the movie forward, rather than over-the-top action and advanced CGI elements. There are a few shortcomings in this film in terms of pacing and character motivations, but nearly 40 years later, there is still a reason that The Fall of the Roman Empire is remembered as one of the best historical epics ever created, and you owe it to yourself to find out why that is. The 6th spot on this list goes to Kesari, which tells the incredible epic story of the last stand of 21 brave Sikhs fighting against 10,000 Afghan tribesmen in 1897. Kesari's primary focus is on the Battle of Saragari and sees one of the greatest last stands in history as 21 Sikhs fight to the death to protect their base and ensure that they hold Afghan forces at bay long enough for the British to organize a counterattack. Kesari highlights everything audiences would want in an epic historical film, such as realistic production design, interesting characters, and some huge epic battle scenes as well. There is very little to critique about Kesari in my opinion, except that perhaps the ambitions and reasoning of why the Afghans are trying to attack the fort in the first place are never really expanded upon, and you have the usual over-the-top action sequences which are very common in Bollywood and are totally unnecessary in this film. But if you want an epic historical film of one of the most daring and successful last stands in fairly modern history, then Kesari is my recommendation for you. At number 5, it is Mongol, The Rise of Genghis Khan, a film which depicts the life of Genghis Khan from his difficult and poverty-stricken childhood to the start of his rise to power and his attempts at unification of all the great tribes of Mongolia. Mongol is a film with fantastic acting which really does tell the complex life of Temujin, the future ruler of Mongol, in a real and honest manner. However, my biggest gripe with this film though is with the third act of the movie, as Genghis Khan's rise to power is not effectively communicated to viewers at all. In one scene he is a struggling loner, and in the next scene he is riding against the enemies at the head of a large Mongol horde. However, aside from some of these weaker plot elements, I feel like Mongol was a film that never got the recognition it deserved, and it is one of those historical epics that seems to have been lost to the sands of time, and I recommend anyone on this channel to give it a chance as soon as they can. The fourth spot on this list goes to Red Cliff, a film which utilizes a slower paced story to effectively develop the characters of the film convincingly while also giving a chance for the societal and political impact of the Three Kingdoms War on common folk to be viewed as well. There are some amazing battle scenes in this film which will keep viewers on the edge of their seats as they are awe-inspired by the amazing military tactics displayed within this movie. But with the movie of this length, there are obviously going to be some issues. And the primary issue for me was there are just too many names and characters in this film to keep up with. And a lot of these characters are just mentioned in passing or in the film for a scene or two, and they are mentioned again maybe an hour later and you have no clue who they are. But aside from this small critique, Red Cliff is a film of a huge magnitude and one of the best historical epics ever created. So if you're looking to find out more about ancient China and Chinese history, then Red Cliff will be the perfect historical epic for you. At number 3, it is The Mission, an epic historical film focusing on a very unique premise, which is the story of the first Jesuit mission station in the tribal jungles of Brazil, which was developed in the 18th century, and the story focuses on the lengths that the priests and the local native tribes will go to protect their land and the mission station when it gets stuck in the middle of a politically unstable situation. This film stars Robert De Niro, Liam Neeson, and Jeremy Irons, and all of them are spectacular in this film. Even the secondary cast here are great, and the life of the native tribes in Brazil during the 18th century is very well established and depicted. This is a very moving and emotional movie which has great cinematography, an engaging and well-paced plot, as well as some good character development. My primary critique of The Mission though is with the lackluster final battle which the entire movie was building up to, and it just didn't deliver it in any way or form. And it was a series of multiple shots put together that didn't really have the impact that was necessary or expected by audiences. But if you're looking for an epic historical film that is different from most other historical movies, then The Mission is my recommendation for you. The second spot on this list goes to Admiral Roaring Currents, a South Korean epic war film which focuses on the famous Battle of Myeongnyang, which sees General Yi Sun-sin fighting against a Japanese Navy fleet numbering over 330 ships, and he has only a small force of only 13 ships for himself. The film has amazing naval battles, and the entire film plays out like an amazing action film with lots of massive battles which are further enhanced by the usage of unique and risky military tactics which keep the viewers on the edge of their seat as defeat always seems just around the corner. While this film does a great job of displaying the amazing naval skills of the Korean Navy, the same cannot be said about the Japanese Navy, as the film does little to develop the antagonists of the movie and displays them as poorly skilled naval tacticians and sailors, which is not historically accurate for the time. But apart from this minor critique, Admiral Roaring Currents is a perfect viewing experience for anyone looking for an epic historical adventure reminiscent of 300 but on the sea. And the top spot on this list goes to Arn the Knight Templar, which is a fictional story based on a Knights Templar named Arn. This is actually a two-part film series which is based off of the best-selling Crusade book series by Han Julio, which sees a fictional character named Arn who becomes a Knights Templar and is a witness or catalyst to many real historical events such as the Battle of Mount Gizzard and the Battle of Hattin. Arn the Knight Templar is also the most expensive film ever created in the history of Swedish cinema, and it is a fantastic feat of storytelling, cinematography, and bringing a semi-accurate historical depiction of the Knights Templars to our screens. And it is a historical epic that I think everyone should watch at least once. But let me know in the comments down below if you agree with my 10 recommendations, and if there's any other great historical epics that I may have missed out on. And remember to stay up to date with everything to do with historical movies and historical TV shows, subscribe to my channel History Spark, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.